Next up on Haunted Heartland is a story that was submitted to us by a woman that we will call Minnie. Minnie writes, "Well, my daughter, who is 8 years old now, used to see something. 4 or 5 years ago, it was just me, her, and my 2-year-old son at home. We lived in a 2-bedroom apartment on the 2nd floor in Scott City. My son fell asleep in my bed, and she fell asleep on the couch. At about 11 o'clock at night, I moved my daughter to her room. I went to the kitchen to wrap some things up, and it wasn't 10 to 15 minutes later, I heard her death screaming. So I dropped the dishes and I ran in there. I turned on the light and she was sitting up in her bed, staring at the window, crying. I sat down, I patted her leg and I asked her what was wrong. She wouldn't look at me. She just kept saying, 'Scary is here. I didn't know what to do. I just sat there and I looked with her. A few minutes later, she starts crying harder and she's like following something along the wall. And she turned her head to the other side of the room, to the wall that was behind us. By now, I got goosebumps and I had no idea what to do besides just be there for her. She then looked above my head and then back down at my face. And she said, 'He's here. Scary's here.' I snatched her up. I ran to my room with my son and locked the door and I just cuddled them. I had no idea what the hell was happening. Like, how do you handle this kind of situation? Eventually, we ended up falling asleep. I woke up the next morning and I asked her, I said, 'Baby, who is Scary?' And she said, 'It's a man, covered in blood, that looks in my window.' I freaking lost it. Over the next few months, she would freak out like that, awake or asleep, about 4 more times before we moved out and it stopped. I ended up getting a hold of my biological family. I'm adopted and I didn't know any of the family history. And I asked anyone if they ever had anything like this happen to them in that house. Well, apparently they have. My sister did when she was little, and one of her girls has. My mother's mother and her grandmother also. I still get goosebumps thinking about it. We don't talk about it much, and never around my daughter.